diaspora community and how they are reacting to what's happening inside Iran. And for that, we are joined now with our next guest, Parmida Barez. She is an author, she's an activist, and she's also an Iranian-Canadian citizen. Parmida, very good to have you on the show. Thank you for making time for us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Let me begin by getting your reaction. It has been such a busy 36 hours so far. How are you interpreting what has happened?
Well, I mean, the mood both inside and outside the country, as you've seen yourself, is of a mix of joy, celebration from the very first videos coming out of the country, whether it was middle school children cheering, videos of people passing out sweets or dancing on the streets and chanting from rooftops. You hear cars honking. As you know, in Toronto as well, there was Iranians out on the streets until very late in the night. You see relief, you see hope. Same with any family or friends we were able to at times be connected to inside the country. Because, you know, for decades and decades, Iranians have felt abandoned and may feel for the first time that the world has not thrown them under the bus. So many see this as a rescue mission, not an invasion, because the target is the regime's machinery of repression, not the Iranian people. So, and this is precisely what Iranians have been asking for, as you've seen week after week, rallies in the hundreds of thousands in the diaspora, even 400,000 just on February 14th at the Prince's call to action for the Global Day of Action of the Line and Sun Revolution. So their calls have been answered. At the same time, Natasha, I must say that they are aware that the battle is not over, but they are at present celebrating.
Absolutely. So I want to dig deeper into the fact that this story is not over yet. We still need to see this thing to its fruition. But before we jump to that, have you been able to get in touch with loved ones or friends in Iran? And if so, how are they feeling?
Yeah, so connectivity is very on and off, as you can imagine. For those who are able to find workarounds of that, they're able to. I was able to have a phone call yesterday. Precisely what I'd said earlier. It's a mix of joy, disbelief. As you know, Ali Khamenei, the supreme terrorist, as they call him, which has a sea of blood on his hands, was eliminated. And so it's a mix of joy, and at the same time, like I said, knowing that the battle is not over.
So then, with all this in mind, this jubilation that we've seen in the past few hours, today we are hearing reports that President Donald Trump says he's open to meeting with the new leadership of the Iranian regime. When you hear that news, and when others in the community hear that news, how do you feel?
I trust the bravery and the courage of Iranians inside the country. I trust that they are very capable. They have been the boots of the ground. They have carried the weight of the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism on their shoulders for years. And what may look like confusing to the outside is not for Iranians. The people on the inside are extremely educated. They're politically aware. They understand geopolitics better than most. They've lived under repression for 47 years under a theocracy. And they don't need outsiders lecturing them on good and bad actors. They know exactly what they're asking for. And this is a civilization that gave the world one of the earliest human rights charters. They understand the risk, they understand the stakes. And I think what they want is what everyone else wants, all of us here. Life, liberty, dignity, secular democracy. They want an end to the Islamic regime. They will not accept any reforms within it. They want a democratic transition that leads to free and fair elections, not a regime that steals their wealth to fund their proxies, chanting death to America, Israel, and the West. Iranians are freedom-loving and peaceful. And again, they're thankful to those who stood by their side, like President Trump. He said help is on the way. It has been on the way. And I believe that they will be able to liberate themselves.
Okay, I hear that. I hear that completely. I just want to dig a bit deeper into that, because if President Trump said help is on the way, he also said yesterday he wants regime change. But then if he's willing to meet with the new members of that regime that are representing the leadership, and if he ends up saying, okay, job is done, we've got new leaders, we're okay with it. I mean, if you see a repeat of what happened in Venezuela, where Maduro gets knocked out, but it was his next in command who is placed there, and Trump is supportive of that, it doesn't really help the cause for the secular-seeking Democrats in Iran, if you know what I mean. So how do you interpret this?
As I said, the Iranians are the ones who have been the boots on the ground, and I don't believe that they would allow anything else at this point after 47 years of repression or any change of face of this regime, regardless of what the outside world may or may not say. I believe the Iranians will take power back into their own hands when the time is right, and they do want free and fair elections, and we will give them there. And they have chosen and chanted the one name, Prince Reza Pahlavi, and they've come out in the millions to support him, as well as outside in the diaspora. And he has a transition plan ready for stability of the future of Iran. And he has promised to help that transition and to get Iranians to free and fair elections for national votes, actually, choosing their government, choosing their constitution, choosing their own leaders. And I believe that Iranians will be able to choose their own future.
You've mentioned Reza Pahlavi a couple of times. I know you are a supporter of his, as are many in the diaspora. Not everyone, obviously, but many are. And you've mentioned his transition plan. Let's talk about that. How would that work? Because the country's gone almost 50 years without the infrastructure of democracy. What does that democracy look like for you in Iran under Reza Pahlavi's plans?
So the prince is uniquely placed as the best bet for a stable transition. His plan is structured. It's time-limited transition. It's a time-limited transition. It's called the Iran Prosperity Project, with experts both inside and outside the country. And they have thought of everything. Power goes back to the people, not to him. He's made that very clear as a unifier and a bridge. There will be no power vacuum. His team of experts have developed a comprehensive plan through to the emergency phase, the first 100 days and thereafter, and being able to keep the country stable through healthcare, through the education, through the economy, you name it. It's all laid down in that very comprehensive plan called the Iran Prosperity Project.
Okay. Parmida, Barez, really good to speak to you and get your insights, and I hope we can speak again in the future.
Thank you so much.